A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out Bafetu.
All about Bafetu, this is Parker, yeah. Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Thando kuphela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. This, of course, is Overthinking Football, the Overthinking Football show every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. and also on Fridays at 12:30. I also have a new show that I'm going to be doing Mondays and Wednesdays at 12:30 in the afternoon, where I will be speaking to you. And if you want to watch any of my content offline, any of it, it is available on YouTube. Guys, one of the things that I'm completely proud of about starting this was that I've met so many people that are knowledgeable about the game, that have taught me things, that have shown me all types of things that I didn't know before, right? And we've had such incredible conversations to the fact that, to the point where I could create an offline community where we speak to each other there on WhatsApp, where we go back and forth with some of my faves. We go back and forth about all types of different topics without any limitations of time and any of the stuff that we normally have in a normal show. So that is very incredible. If you want to be part of that WhatsApp group, go onto WhatsApp, go onto YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and then you'll be able to join me 24/7 on the WhatsApp group. Guys, if you want to add your voice to the show, those watching on YouTube, there are voices on the show. The voices come from TikTok. You have to be following me and join me live while I'm on TikTok. For you to be able to jump in and then have your say and add your voice to the show as we go along. Guys, today we're going to speak about two things, just two things. Number one, Mamelodi Sundowns stands a chance this year to qualify for the expanded Club World Cup. And as part of that qualification, as part of just taking part in the competition, they can get 1 billion rand just for taking part. Nothing about going anywhere else. I want to speak about the implications that that money has on South African football and African football as a whole, and maybe the wider footballing community. Not necessarily what Sundowns must do or slowing down Sundowns. It's more to speak about when Sundowns does what it does, how does that impact other people in the framework of FIFA? And then secondarily, the second topic is going to be Dr. Ivan KHOZA is rumored to be wanting to retire. He's rumored to be going into the sunset of his PSL career. So I want to ask some questions around that. And do we have a future? What happens? Everybody's freaking out in the South African football sphere to say that what's going to happen when Dr. Ivan steps aside. And that is a conversation that I want to have with you guys. So I'm going to start it off with the conversation I want to have beginning about Mamelodi Sundowns and its possible 1 billion rand. So guys, Club World Cup is coming. It's now 32 teams, 12 teams from Europe, 6 teams from CONMEBOL, 4 teams from CAF, CAF, Asia, if I'm not mistaken, and then 1 team from Oceania and 1 team for the hosts. It's 32 teams. It's going to be bigger, it's going to be longer, it's going to have a lot more teams taking part. Sundowns stands an outside chance of getting into this by virtue of them possibly making it to a final of CAF or even to the semi-finals, since Ahly and Wydad already qualify as winners from the last 4 seasons. So Sundowns stands a big chance to take part into this competition, and part of the spoils of this competition is that Sundowns is going to get 1 billion rand in terms of just participation fee. Now, away from Sundowns, I want to have it in the African context that if these teams are getting these type of windfalls in these competitions, and it's teams that take part in the PSL, like a league format, they take part in the CAF Champions League, they take part in the AFL, they take part in the Champions League. Aren't these things taking certain teams who work extremely hard, not take it away from them, too far away from everybody else without everyone else having a chance to catch up to them? And what does that mean for football? What does that mean for football? And I want to make sure that we understand the fact that I'm not asking Sundowns to slow down or asking Sundowns not to do what Sundowns does. I'm asking CAF and FIFA, what type of opportunities are they giving to the other teams in order to catch them? Or are we creating a situation in Africa and all over the world where certain teams, because of their greatness, because of their resources, the funding, because of their ambitions, can go so far away from other people that you end up having to ask other owners and other teams to do incredibly hard, difficult, impossible things in order to catch them. Think about the Egyptian league, right? Ahly has been running the Egyptian league, Zamalek, for a very long time. In comes Pyramids, who can only catch Ahly, and they are competing because Pyramids is well funded by, I believe it's a mining conglomerate, and then also they have Ahly people within the ranks, right? Is it viable that we need more of those type of owners to make more teams in the league up to the standard? And then also, should there be more competitions and things created in order to make sure that everybody else can catch up? The other question that I have to ask is, now you are a team that's in Mamelodi Sundowns' position, right? They have to play so many extra games. So they are forced to go out and get more players. And they are forced to go out and get more quality players. What do you do with foreigner quotas? What do you do with financial limitations? Should you limit them financially? Because at the end of the day, if I'm playing 60 games in the year versus your 30, I'm going to need a lot more good players to come into this team, and I'm going to need to rotate them. And I might need to take some of your guys as players in order for me to be where I need to be with my ambitions. So how does that play out over a length of time? Especially since the monetary spoils are going to these teams. How then do we create a situation where more teams can take part and benefit from these FIFA and CAF sanctioned competitions in order for them to close the gap without necessarily having to handcuff the teams that are ambitious, that are putting resources, that are doing all that stuff? How does it look to a PSL league that has to sell to investors that, guys, you're going to have to invest like Tate Motsepe has invested? And Tate Motsepe has spent a lot of money over the 20 years that he's owned Mamelodi Sundowns outright. So much money into a black hole, developing this thing. And he might have gotten his stuff out of it. But are we creating a situation where it's going to be too much to ask for other teams to emulate this? Again, this is not a conversation about Sundowns and hey, money and all of that stuff. The conversation is about, is world football creating structures so that other teams can follow in the footsteps of these big teams? But anyway, guys, I'm going to open it up now. If you want to add your voice to the show, please, you have to be following me and join me when I'm live on TikTok. And then there's a button at the bottom of your screen that says multi-guest. It's got a blue figure hugging a pink figure, and you can click on that request and you'll be able to jump in. Okay, guys, there we go. I have opened it up. Let's hear what you guys have to say about this here conversation that we're having right now. Remember, guys, try keep your responses relatively short because we're trying to get two very heavy conversations into this 2 hours that we have. Sean, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Oh, my man, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Tell me, Sean, very shortly, what do you think about this conversation we're having?
Well, two things. When you look at global football, the structures are in place. If you look at teams that are playing, let me say in Europe, the Asian League is very good.
Well, let me just
China,
check something,
Japan.
Sean. Let me just check something. Sorry, it seems like audio-wise, something's not coming through. Just give me a word there, Sean. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. I'm gonna ask you to start over.
Yeah, I was saying it's too prone for me. If you look at European football, of course, you look at certain leagues in Asia, China, Japan, Korea. If you look at what the Saudis are trying to do in the Gulf, there are systems in place to help teams improve. You understand? Which leads me to the situation here at home. Well, we know in general African football needs money, but I'm just going to limit it to a Mamelodi Sundowns.
Okay.
Right, and the reason I'm doing this is not to make the conversation about Mamelodi Sundowns, but is to say, especially to a question that I heard has been trending really on certain podcasts on YouTube. If people are going to say that Sundowns is ruining South African football, then you have to look at Sundowns and ask yourself, after 30 years, where should South African football be? Where should South African clubs be? At least the top four, which is Sundowns, Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, and SuperSport United.
Yeah.
Because you can tell if teams like Liverpool can compete with the budget that they have, if Dortmund can continuously compete with the budget that they have, and I'm using Dortmund because they've been doing it consistently, and that's why I'm not using Leverkusen or using Union Berlin.
Yeah.
If you look at Atletico, and like if you look at Real Madrid, and people have this misconception that somehow Real Madrid it has money. It really doesn't. It's just the models that they use for business.
Yeah.
You understand? It makes sense to them. They deal with a lot of information. So for me,
guys,
for
what's
me-
up? Let me just sorry.
Yeah, no, let me
go
just
on,
close
go on.
it. Yeah, let me just close it. I think around the world, football has those structures and it's getting its support. In our country, we just don't have that will. You know, we don't have that will to transform ourselves and to actually run a football club with information. We're still just doing it from our heads and what we think is going to work for us. You understand? So we do need money in the PSL. That's not a lie. We do need money in the PSL, but I really think if it's true what's going to happen next season with the AFL, then these teams then will say, okay, fine, we can work with what we've been given, and maybe we can close the gap because they're not competing with each other, which means they're not competing at all. That's why it seems like Sundowns is running away with it. But yeah, man.
For time's sake, I want to come back. Let me go to Kumo. Kumo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Hi, sure, Brenna.
I'm man Kimnati man Kumo. Kumo, tell me what you're thinking about this conversation here.
Oh, first of all, Babutu Kucho Buffalo, eh? I will discuss Libufi used with the blood attendance because Moga CAF. Okay, sharp, sorry. Now, Arna Hanning, I did 11 as like incentives, right? So, for many years, we've been saying what PSL should be is like the best league in Africa, right?
Yeah.
The PSL should compete with the likes of your EPL and definitely League One. So what CAF has done, or FIFA rather has done, yeah, by doing these monetary incentives, it could also be a blessing. I mean, like, what is there like to bring in companies like Old Mutual, Vodacom, Maraya, the likes of Vodacom, into sponsoring Richards Bay, SuperSport again, even though go PSL heli mediocre in terms of like football and whatnot, nah? They can justify their sponsorship by saying, if we know we can get position 2, then we can compete in more FIFA World Cup, and we are guaranteed $1 billion and exposure. So if you look at it that way, then it makes sense for other teams to actually go for it. Now, obviously, there's going to be a faction of supporters, mainly from Soweto. They keep saying Motsepe is creating tournaments so that his team can win. Why not? I agree Motsepe already played 50 million. Motsepe spent for his players, so he takes football seriously. And in order, when you have quality players, playing in the PSL, even though gay Sundowns will feel like international players. Now, if SuperSport with Gavin Hans tactics, because you know what is brilliant, I mean, $1 billion. don't you think Lena he can go out there, maybe again go South America and get proper players, then he can compete Sundowns on an equal foot. So this thing is good, guys. Just because your teams don't qualify, don't knock it off. It makes a lot of sense to actually for the very first time, people are taking Africa seriously, because you know how now if by participating we can actually build our own stadiums and stop bragging about being anchor tenants. We can build our own stadiums, we can build a proper academy, we can do a lot. And 1 million is a lot of money just for participation fee. Now, if you win the entire thing, with you can even Sundowns can sponsor the league itself, Muskastele. So I believe in this, and I hope it works wonders for us. Eh?
Okay. Asian, my brother, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
No, man, man. Tell me, what do you think about this here conversation that we're having?
I think we suffer from the same mentality that our parents suffered from, you know. We see that something is good, we want to wait on it and not want to evolve, you know. At some point, it was okay for players to drink whatever, then the following day they can play, you know, aka Chiefs players, too many to mention. And at some point, football evolved and said, but you can't do that, you know, you've been putting yourself at risk, you know. And it was a difficult transition, like, hey, you guys are destroying, you know, the South African culture, whatever. Culture itself is dynamic, it changes. I think that's something that we need to understand, you know. Our fathers, grandfathers used to wear leather skin. We wear something else. So, and this is cultural. Culture changes. So I think sometimes culture changes for the worse, sometimes changes for the good, you know. But culture has to be dynamic and it has to change, you know. So you can either look at something and you can say, but I don't want to change with it, and we'll be stuck in the dark ages, you know. Or you can adapt, move on, and utilize the new things, you know. At some point, there was no phones. Now there's phones. There's people who still rely on sending messages via the post mail. I don't think so, you know. So even with football, I think we're always think now as football is money. Money is football. You know, there's nothing we can do about it, you know. So it's all up to the teams to adapt and say, guys, now you have to spend money to earn money. You can no longer say, I'll go to mosimnene, whatever tournaments and get my money period tournaments and get players from there and I'll win something. You know, with the new model, it's not even Sundowns model, it's an international phenomenon, you know, that you have to invest in players to earn money, you know. So I think this is a good incentive that if I'm Supersport, maybe for example, I can say, I want, if I can win the AFL, I mean, they're not EFL, but if I can win Champions League, it means I'm guaranteed at least a 1 billion. It means then I can hold on to my players a bit more and risk it, you know. Like, look at Chiefs. I don't know how to use the correct word, but I'll use the words that you guys use. The moment they took it serious, just for a second, they went all the way. So it means if Chiefs could do it with a depleted squad, with the hamstrung squad, you know, then
with the transfer ban,
with the transfer ban and everything, you know. So if you look at what is that? Gallants also went to the final, so it means it is possible, you know, as a team. So I think for me, it's a good incentive, like Kumo was saying, to get for teams to develop, and maybe teams will spend more money, and when teams spend more money, the standard goes up.
Okay. Let me bring in Malume Kutso. Malume Kutso, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Ngimnandi, Mr. Oti, how are you?
Hi, man. Great. Malume Kutsu. Tell me, what do you think about this conversation here?
Man, happy Monday, man. People, Monday, begani pamupans. You're already attacking us here, and we've said nothing. As guilty people, they already know that they're guilty. They are attacking us. Anyway, Mr. Oti, as I entered the show here, I heard you speaking about Sundowns qualifying because Al Ahly is in the could be in the final. So can you kind of just shapanyana 10 seconds on that? What did you mean?
Okay, so I get it. They take part of the qualifying criteria is that it's the last it's the last 4 winners of the Champions League. So because Al Ahly and Wydad have been changing amongst themselves, it means that if Sundowns, or I believe Esperance is the next one, if Sundowns Esperance can make it to the semi-finals or the final of this year's tournament, they don't even need to win it. They could then be included in next year's tournament.
Yeah, no, money.
Can I add something there?
Okay.
Can I add something there? Provided Al Ahly and Wydad also reach
Yes.
finals.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Perfect. I thought I was smoking cow dung when I suggested the Chiefs were better suited, because that sounds like the very criteria, but somehow systematically excludes Chiefs and puts in a semi-finalist. I thought I was smoking cow dung here and ridiculed for suggesting that if someone has already won, why not the finalist? But somehow we must be honest, guys, when we can see something is relaxed for the benefit of a certain team or a certain cohort of kind of thing. No, let's be honest, Mr. Oti. We must not be afraid of speaking.
Well, to be fair to them, I believe it works that because Chiefs made it to one final, let's say the final is 5 points, because Sundowns may have made it to 3 semifinals, I don't know, was it 3 semifinals and a quarter, the amalgamation of points, so the 3 from the semifinals, the 2 semifinals is 6, plus the quarterfinals is 8. That's how they go further.
Had it been that Chiefs had been to the final before, King Sundowns had been to the final once, Kuba equal in the points. Go back to the one who's in the final. That's the problem about the flexible criteria made after the fact. It seems to exclude others. But anyway, Enriquez's politica too much, Mr. Uti. Those who have invested, if you call it an investment at the expense of others, can go and reap the rewards of their investment, Mr. Uti, and understand. Even though I believe Uti, it's a lot of money for one team, and I can imagine that other federations are looking at a bigger amount in the sense of Uti. When it seemed like Real Madrid is thrown into the tournament, they are looking at winning it more than more than.
Oh. Hey, man.
Hello?
Are you with me? There we go.
Yeah, am I audible?
It's the countdown.
You're audible. You're audible.
Yeah, no. But I phone like on live, man. Hey, anyway, I hope you're going to So, Mr. Oti, it's okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, teams like Real Madrid, when they enter such competitions, they will surely be looking to take it and understand. And because of the resources that they already have compared to African teams, we always see these European teams dominate the hell out of the Club World Cup. So this might continue, and to the detriment of African football, they might still get more money than the African teams. Unless which am making sense? Because already they are far ahead and they have far more number of representatives, giving them even bigger chance. So we might think, it's a conversation between the Soweto Giants and I don't know, Pretoria Giant or South African Giant. For me, I see it as this will further push the European agenda ahead, because I don't see Sundowns beating Real Madrid. You understand? And for just as a side note, for all the South American great players that they've signed, it's odd that from the South American national teams, it's only the Chiefs guy who gets called up to the national teams, meaning they're signing auxiliary players, but somehow They are the ones with the better scouts.
Yeah,
But that's
okay. I've called up for For time. Hey, Mara, Let me bring in Uprastomi. Prastomi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hola, Otisha, very.
Hi, my name is Nandi Prastomi. Prastomi, tell me, what do you think about this conversation we're having?
As a team now, what I think is that I like the initiative, and Bendis of Woyama if the likes of Orlando Pirates basic qualify, so that sibe kwesi stage soba if it happens in Doba by win CAF sibe na 2 teams from the south kwisadek. Siziyeke ezi politics zoba umuntu i-team ethile kayifuni is against lo team. Every time xa funeka sincokola ngebhola we analyze certain teams, mhlambe mna analyze i-Chiefs okanye i-Pirates, which is it is so wrong ngaloo ndlela. Mna I think the initiative it is okay because iyayikhulisa i-African football, because ubuyajonga so many teams ngoku zizobe zikhona kwi-Club World Cup. So competing against such big things, no, it will encourage teams as needs up in South Africa to do more, so that if you send i-Pirates ifikile kweza stage se-playoffs yenze sure uba iyaqualify. If i-Supersport or Cape Town City or Kaizer Chiefs it reaches that stage, it qualify with Champions League, basebenzele to accumulate more points, because the system that is working ba udlala Club World Cup in a point system esebenza ngayo. Yoba xa i-draw ngu-1 point, if uwine kwi-group kwinatsika kwi-knockout stage lo game ngu-3 points. So abantu funeka be-understandile land is working with the point system. Hence ubona the likes of Dortmund, the likes of PSG zidlala pha, because kusetyenziswa i-point system. It has nothing to do ba kufavor abantu, but ke siyayazi ke such topics zinto zethu zalapha eSouth Africa sithanda zona. But mna I think le initiative igrand, and kwinto yoba i-football yethu ibe ngathi it seems like ikhona apha i-destroyer kakhona, nam ndiyakhala because ii-teams ezifana nabo Stellenbosch and Cape Town City, ii-owners zazo they are preferring money because beyazi ibhola is about money, but abakwazi uconsiderisha for future purposes yoba we cannot sell every player to ii-teams ezinkulu, because such teams zona ezo players zincedisana to those teams zikwazi uyo-compete outside. So it will be so grateful uba as teams zabo Stellenbosch they minimize selling players, so that singathi siblame kwi-team that is offering money, because i-team is offering money but the Sundowns is not gun pointing them but to take the money. So it is within our structures. So le failure ke mna kenza ikhomba kwi-teams and the PSL, because u-PSL is not allowing i-teams to have sponsors in order to grow, but abantu zova umuntu athathe ngento ufama kubekho i-financial fair play, abantu bengayazi noba isebenza kanjani, because you cannot talk nge-financial fair play ii-teams zinga-own stadiums. Okwazi uthetha nge-financial play ii-teams ezincinci that are not selling more t-shirts ukuze zenze imali. So at least i-team funeka niyazi uba inecala egenerator ngale mali in order to grow. So zizinto ngoku ezisibethayo thina. Otherwise mna I'm happy with the initiative enziwe no-FIFA, because le nto it has nothing to favor i-Sundowns, for the fact that there are more teams in Europe ezinkulu ezingaqualifyanga ezifana no-Barcelona nabo Liverpool, but considering ii-teams zonke ezikwazi udlala ngoku no-accumulator i-point system in order to grow, there's nothing wrong with that. Mna ndimile apha.
Okay. Let me bring in Vuyo. How are you doing?
I'm good, my brother. Thank you for the opportunity.
No stress, Vuyo, man. Your family. Tell me, Vuyo, what do you think of this conversation that we're having?
I think it's gonna make our football to grow, ne? How? Because people they start notice about Africa, South Africa, Sundowns, see where this league, so they will come and scout players, and we have players here in South Africa. So it's gonna put us in the map, because some of the people they don't know South Africa. Where is South Africa? Because when you talk about World Cup, we don't go to compete. So it's gonna help us to grow, and even our players they
Oh, Prabuya, are you still with me? Okay, I think we'll come back. Guys, if you have not followed, please click the follow button. If you have not subscribed, please click the subscribe button. This happens every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m., this show. And I've also got other content that I have on my stuff, so subscribe so you can watch it. Okay, we seem to have lost Pravuyo. Let me go back to Sean. Sean, I'm going to start on the other side of the coin and come back to the Sundowns side just now, or the Sundowns facing side. Are we not then? I hear everybody saying that this is an initiative and you need to take the initiative in order to become better. But isn't the gap between Sundowns, let's say, or Ahly and the rest of its league going to be so much bigger? I mean, already we know that for the Champions League, certain teams qualify. We know that for to get into the AFL, certain teams are going to qualify. It's not going to be everybody. We know that then when you go into these Club World Cups, it's elite of the elite. Even in Europe, it's very, very elite. The people who are going to be able to get into this competition. Are we not creating a system that if I do want to compete now with Ahly, Sundowns, Real Madrid, it was already very hard. Now I'm going to have to do something incredibly crazy in order to chase you, to catch up to you, and then maybe compete. I feel like we're speaking as though the Champions League is something very easy to get into.
Like I said, I don't think so, because number one, we have to understand that we're living in a capitalistic society. There's no socialism here. There's no communism here. There's no TS Galaxy needs to have a chance to qualify, or TS Galaxy needs to compete with Sundowns, or Cape Town City needs to compete with Sundowns, and they need to know there's no such a thing. But every team needs to build itself. Right? That's why you find that Man City, Man United, Chelsea have more money than a Liverpool. Right? But a Liverpool can compete. Why? Because it started with the coach. The coach took 3 to 4 years to sell the idea to the club. The club bought it, then they brought in the right people. So I think you have to understand, number one, what Coach Gavin Hunt was trying to teach the owner of Chippa United, that you are in a different league. There are 3 different leagues in one league, and you need to understand where you are. That's why you have what do you call this? A Stellenbosch that's building itself up slowly. Right now, they've reached a stage where they're like, we don't want to sell our players anymore. You understand? That's why they're putting release clauses of 15 to 20 million, no longer 10. You understand? So because they're trying to compete. So I think the question should be the gap between the best team in South Africa with the best team in Egypt, and then the best team in South Africa and Egypt with the 2 best teams from Europe. You see, then we should talk about the gaps there. Well, I don't understand. But as yes?
No, I wanted to say, aren't we oversimplifying the Liverpool thing? Liverpool is owned by billionaires. Liverpool's turnaround started when the billionaires went, okay, we've got money to overhaul everything. They spent a crap ton of money. You look at Arsenal, for example. You look at
We're not oversimplifying it. We're not oversimplifying it. They are capable of buying £100 million pound player, but they won't, because they don't. It's like Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch is capable of putting money on the table, going to South America, getting a player for 50 million. You understand? But that's not how it is. It's not how it works. They have the money, right? But that's not what they want to use the money for. And therefore, they have an academy they can trust. They have a coach they can trust. They have a sporting director they can trust, analysts and scouts that they can trust. They left it to coaching, right? What's working for Liverpool is coaching and getting the right players in. Is it really?
Because I remember they bought the most expensive keeper in the world. They bought the most expensive defender in the world at the time. They heavily invested in the analytics department, where they brought in a ton of people and spent millions upon millions in there. They brought in.
But look at who they sold.
No, but what I'm saying is there was a lot of a capital injection from the owners in the back end too. And we can't say that his situation at Brighton and Liverpool is the same thing, for example.
No, it's very, you see, it's a very important point that you're making. But Liverpool had to sell to buy, just the same way that Real Madrid had to sell to buy, right? There's one thing that in South Africa we don't want to do. You want to keep a Khune until Khune is 36. It doesn't make sense, right? You have to sell Khune, send Khune to Europe, send these Mofokings to Europe, not because they're going to get better there, but because, again, a pound will always be better than a rand, right? It sets you up nicely to start building up your team. You understand? But Liverpool is in a different league than Brighton. You get what I mean? So you can sell a Coutinho for 100 million, and then your owner is going to add 80 million, and then all of a sudden you get your Ellison and your Van Dijk. You understand what I mean? Or you can do what's the name that Manchester United. You spend $1 billion and only for you to win a Europa Cup. You see, so it's not necessarily about the money. It's about the, you understand? It's not necessarily about the money. It's about understanding where you compete and how you can compete. There's more than one way to compete, and I feel like in our country it's easier to make excuses than to compete.
Okay.
You see, so they'll blame Sundowns until we all go grey, and then we die, we get buried, we come back to life again. They'll still be blaming Sundowns instead of doing their research and setting up a club that runs like a club.
Okay. I'm gonna come back on the Sundown side of this. Kumo, are we not selling a dream that if you develop well and you do those things, you will be able to compete with an Al Ahly, with a Man City? Is that not a dream? That isn't the reality that you're going to have to put in a lot of money to compete?
Yeah, it should be a dream. I mean, like, if you don't have any aspirations, then what are you doing as a person? That's why for things like American dream, African dream. So basically, it's all capitalism. Let me tell you why this whole FIFA World Cup was actually created, right?
Yeah.
UEFA Champions League, or UEFA in particular, it's in battle with this conglomerate that wants to establish this
The Super League.
The Super League, right? So the owners are complaining and saying they aren't making any money because in Europe it's different compared to Africa. They make money via streams and pay-per-view.
And they don't see why they need to share.
Exactly. So now, because the Super League came with an attractive offer, a lucrative offer compared to the current system that UEFA is currently doing. So now UEFA also had to be creative, right? Even though the clubs, like the coaches are complaining and the players are complaining that they're going to have to play more games, but the owners are not, because which means the money, like 1 billion for us, it's a lot because of it's converted.
Yeah.
To people, 50 billion is nothing for Liverpool, you know what I mean? But they're going to make their money. Well, Liverpool's not playing, but I'm making an example because Liverpool's my team, right? They're going to make their money via streamings and pay-per-view and what, So that is why this whole thing was created. So now if you're gonna come here and say, "Ooh, poor Richard Bay, ooh, poor Kaizer Chiefs, how will they ever catch up to Sundowns?" Who cares? We're not a charity case. We all
not necessarily that, Kumo. I think my point is not even with Sundowns. I'm not even looking at Sundowns or Al Ahly. My point is, when you're looking at CAF and FIFA and all those people who are meant to be not capitalist, they are meant to be custodians of the game, right? They are meant to figure out how the leagues can be more, how do I put it, not competitive, can be more money generating, can have more teams coming up. It doesn't make sense to have the league winners then play in the Champions League, which always ends up with the same 8 teams, who then play in the AFL with the same teams, who then get a chance to go play in the Club World Cup with a different level of team, but it's all money-making places. Maybe you take an AFL away and you say, let's structure a different tournament for the other teams. You still have those ones who are dominating because they've still got 3 other competitions. But then these ones can get something, man, scraps from the table, which could aid in them getting better. And, you know, hopefully at the end of the day, everybody ups a level. Not to say that Richards Bay will catch Sundowns, but I mean...
And that's exactly why we need such things, because I'm going to repeat what I said earlier in our first round of questions, right? So I agree this thing hasn't been tried before. It hasn't been done before anywhere globally, right? So like I said, this thing of playing for MTN 8, Sundowns, maybe just Marumo Gallants going to the Champions League, it hasn't worked for the benefit of South African teams, right? So a lot of our teams are not sponsored, right? So once you have such things, say, maybe who knows, Dangote can, like, you know, I've always liked the Pirate, for instance. I'm gonna
Oh, Kumo. Hey, Kumo, you're cutting there. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back for time's sake. Stay on. I'm going to come back. Let me go to Agent. Agent, man, I feel like we know why these things are being expanded and changed. And it was for the bigger teams to be able to gain their leverage and all of that stuff for super leagues and stuff. But at the same token, we're saying that this is a good thing for everyone. I'm gonna come back, Kuma. I'm gonna come back. I'll give you a second there. You just cut a bit. So, Agent, are we not, man, simultaneously selling a dream to one side and something else to another side? And when you look into the future, is this a sustainable thing? Is it something that we should be doing?
If you there's a song that if you continue to give temporary solutions to the poorest of the poor, you know, one day they'll become poorest, you know. So it's like the Sarsa money, you know. Teams have to earn it, you know. And I believe this is a more sustainable model because it's based on meritocracy rather than the size. Because usually the system had it that if you had more fans, if you had more viewership, more fellowship, you earn sponsorship deals because sponsors want to benefit from advertising through you, right? So that was unfair to the small teams, right? So now when we have a system which, like I said, is based on are you deserving, you know? Like I said, if Stellenbosch can say, I want to aim for position 2, right? Position 2, I know I'm going to go to CAF. Go to CAF, I go hard on CAF. Like, guys, South African League is the best. I don't know how we've shown this many times over and over that our teams are stronger than how they appear to be. Just that they're competing with a monster called Sundowns, but they're very good. So if I'm a Stellenbosch, I can invest in money, because the argument has always been, why should I spend 51 million on an Allende while I'm earning 15 million? It doesn't make business sense, right? Now it makes business sense because I'm saying I'm investing. Remember, an investment is high risk, high reward, right? You take a risk. I'm investing in 51 million to this player or players, whatever, with the hope that I'll be among the top 4. I don't have to win it. I don't have to do anything. I know if I can just make it top 4. That's how the point system is created. It's not created for Sundowns per se, but for other team to say, at least I can squeeze in somehow, even if I don't win it. You know, so I think this is a pathway of giving teams a chance and creating a profit, so that investors can come and say, I'm investing in this project, and I hope I can get a maybe 20% return. You know, so I think that's the thing right now.
But then my question then becomes, are we then still sugarcoating it? You know, even for Sundowns to get where Sundowns was, it was a good, from 2004 to 2016, it's a good 12 years of a lot more money than 51 million on Allende. I think if we were to break down how much Motsepe is spending, That's a lot. And I think my big point comes down to, if we carry on with these systems, are we creating a structure where for you to be a Sundowns, you have to find yourself a billionaire owner, or Stellenbosch could probably do it, but you have to find yourself a billionaire owner who's willing to throw money down the drain for 12 years. And then we're saying that is going to make Richards Bay, who can't, all of a sudden be able to compete. How many of those owners can you put into a league? Are we not creating that type of thing where eventually the bigger teams do like with the Super League and say, Ambara guys, but then you expect me to stay here. Why don't I just go play with my peers?
That's another thing. I think the cost of living is always going to rise. Like I said, I don't think, maybe let me not undersell the Motsepe. Let me see, maybe he had a vision that, you know what, at some point, football is going to bring in a lot of money. So if I invest now, remember most of the investments, you invest now without profit. Sometimes you go 10 years, 12 years without profit, right? Let's say Sundowns, for argument's sake, they'll spend $500 million, right? They're going to earn a profit of $500 million. You know?
That's probably way more, but
I'm just saying have a billion, you know? Even if it's 900, almost a billion, 900, I want to get 100 million profit. You know, so football is no longer a charity club, you know, it's a business, right? So business with these incentives, like, remember the problem with Chiefs and CAF was that CAF, I don't gain anything, that's why I don't take it serious. You know, now there's going to be an incentive from Chiefs to say, hey, there is profit. There's going to be incentive from the Motaungs because they want money in their pocket. They'll say, hey, if I can go for CAF, I've done it before. If I can invest and go there, I'll earn more money, you know? So it's not about billionaire owners and everything. It's about calling investors, selling them a dream and say, guys, this is the roadmap. This is how I think it's going to happen. Like any other business, right? Say, guys, invest in this. I think this is how I break it down. This is how I think I'm going to return your money and you make a handsome profit, you know? So I think for me, that's the thing. Like I said, the more increased money, the more increased motivation, you know. And I think I like Avutukucho's point, though obviously, like I said, I'm not familiar with the ins and out of it. He really likes giving an example of Celtics, you know, that they had an owner, white guy, you know, who wanted to own things and, you know, do everything, invest in the club. Obviously, he wanted control over the club. Like, no, man, we want our very own, you know? And our very own, because why? He wanted more supporting involvement and everything, you know, unlike the other one, you know? And it collapses. So now the football is moving to a space where you don't have money, you're not gonna survive.
Okay. I'm gonna come back. Malabekutso, are we not selling a dream, man? Everybody's speaking as though, you know, tomorrow I can wake up, put some money into it, and then in 3 years' time I'm going to have a competing team. You know, some of the teams might not be able on the point system to do it for 5 years in a row. 5 years every year going to the Champions League semifinals, because already there's big boys already there. Our Sundowns, our Ahly, our Wita, they're already there. So to think they're going to stand still for you to catch them, well, we're not selling a dream here.
Hey, yes, Mr. Uti, we are selling a huge dream to Abantu, Mr. Uti, pretending as if this thing is simple, and it's not, Mr. Uti. Other teams won't be able to catch up, and one might think it will create competition, but actually it might do the opposite, in that it might create disinterest, as we see in the PSL. Slowly but surely, some teams are losing interest. Support are not attending the stadium. I mean, one would think if a team would have won 7 PSL trophies in a row, they would fill up stadiums, but it shows with people are disinterested because of Imali already, the way it is represented on the corner. You understand, Mr. Uti? So I can imagine if a certain team has 1 billion more, it's gonna be worse, Mr. OT. And the sad part is that my last submission, I made a submission and someone chose to respond to it, missing the fact that I actually vouched for Africa as a whole. Somehow they usually think I'm talking against their team. However, I think this poses a bigger problem for Africa when Europe already has 12 teams. How do we close the gap when we only imagine it's only now that the tournament is being formed, but already it kicks off on an unequal footing where one continent has, I don't know, is it 12 teams?
Three times more than Africa would have.
And we want to argue that, no, you don't understand the points. You can't tell me about the points. They came after the fact. Any system can be explained. If I say whoever has been on OT show will get 1 billion. If you've been here 5 times, you'll get 1 billion. Then agent is taking the money. No one else will compete. You understand, Mr. You can't create Ilona after the fact and want to push it as if it's objective. No. This Club World Cup, I will complain. This Club World Cup, Mr. OT, has been in discussion for years now. I think even before COVID, they were already talking of something that is the country version of your World Cup. So we can't pretend as if this is new and it's permissible for one to come up with a criteria today and say if you don't fit the criteria then you fall out. But that's besides the point. I agree with you, Mr. We're selling a dream. Not only are we selling a dream to Africans that they'll catch up to Europeans, but I like the fact that we mentioned teams like Stellenbosch. Okay, Stellenbosch does have IRVING, but let's mention teams like Chippa United, Mr. OT, that we see day to day they struggle to pay ends meet. And then you want to bring a Orlando Pirates and give Orlando Pirates 1 billion, Mr. OT. It's gonna create a disinterest. And let's be honest, Mr. OT, we even seeing it now say England, which is why they're coming for Man City. The biggest team in England right now is Man City. But they still can't garner the support that the Gunners have. That's a good pair on words. That the Gunners have, that Man United has. They still can't because even the people by Man City have detracted from the team because they we see Axio Ingela Yogwini Paula, Mr. OT. And I mean, I just want to point out to my favorite series, The English Game. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but The English Game had predicted that this would come through, this thing of paying players. It will somehow suck out the passion from the actual players and direct it elsewhere. And my passion is a boardroom. And we are being fed crumbs as Africans, Mr. OT. Someone please explain to me, besides saying Sundowns, saying Chiefs, what the Pirates, someone please explain to me, how does it make sense that Africa only has 4 teams? Why does it even make sense that Africa has 4 teams when the tournament is starting right now?
Yeah.
If Europe wanted to have 12 teams, why doesn't Africa also have 12 teams? And we have a preliminary kind of game, round robin knockout, so that we see actually they do deserve 12 teams and we only deserve 4 teams. Yeah, I understand. We've got World Cup qualifiers. Why are World Cup qualifiers not based on who wins the AFCON? Why are World Cup qualifiers not based on who has won more friendlies? Why do we play qualifiers to qualify
even there,
for
it's
the
still
AFCON?
skewed to Europe, but even there.
So, no, it's well from an African
Yeah.
that I'm holding on to that it's actually unfair. But anyway, let me pass it to Prastomi and not hog the mic.
Prastomi, are we not simplifying these things, man? Are we not simplifying, Guti? Teams can wake up tomorrow and compete. Teams can, it will incentivize them because you might be looking at that billion, but you're probably going to have to spend $1 billion over multiple years in order for you to get to that level. Are we not saying, and not only are you spending $1 billion, you are fighting teams that have done it and will carry on doing it. Is it something that we should be selling to our team, Prastomi?
As OT, now I'll be honest with you. Firstly, Tina was simplifying Lando because it's not easy to qualify for the Champions League. The situation, the likes of Supersport, Nabo Paris, they can reach portion 2 okanye Sundowns can reach portion 1 okanye Chiefs. But funeka ukhumbule the playoffs ngoku sowuqualifyile kwi-league yakho, i-league yakho ikuvumela uba uqualifyile for Champions League. But it does not necessarily say uba automatically you will be playing kwi-group stage. So it says kukhona a certain route ofuneka uyihambile. So basically thina we are simplifying because thina siyayibona lento, it is possible uba we have i-team ezidlala kwi-Champions League, but we asifuna uyithatha to consideration intoba there's a long road efuneka uyihambile apha in order to qualify. So mna, if it would be great if bekuthiwa uCAF is fixing le nto ye-Champions League yoba if number 2 no number 1 automatically siqala i-group stage then uba sithi usenale route uzawudlala i-playoffs only to find uba xa kuya kwi-group stage sizawusheka neeteam eziyi-8 okanye iiteam eziyi-16. So basically it was wrong kwalapha ekuqaleni. And ndifuna uya kule nto ithethwa ngumalume uKhuzo. Umalume uKhuzo urayithi kwi-case yoba why xa uwine i-AFCON okanye if you were reaching semi-final i-AFCON, I mean i-final ube i-runners up, ungakwazi uba uqualifyelela enye competition, because at some stage uba if uyakhumbula i-National League le nto i-Nations League it wasn't making any sense. A lot of coaches bayicriticizile besibonisa a bad thing ngayo until they realize abantu abasebenza u-UEFA into yoba hey ayizusipana le nto ngendlela, because at some stage uzawubetha abantu because uzoba injura, ii-players zakho zoba injured for nothing, and at some stage ufumaniseka uba akho nto uyibhenefithayo ngale. So they had to come up with a strategy soba oh okay, if udlale kanjena at least uzokwazi uqualifyela i-Euros xa udlale mhlawumbi ufike kwi-stage esithile. So I think no-CAF bekusuppose usikreyithile islot esinjalo. And ndifuna on the case of uthi uKhuzo kuqualifye for eAfrica, ndifuna zakayojonga phaa kulaa ndawo eza Al Hilal no Urawa uba zingaphi eziqualifye phaa. Yabo. But ke I'm not against le point ithethayo because i-point ebezama uyimake is that such competitions are still favoring European teams, of which it is true, Lord. But ke ngoku when you look at into yoba uzawumane usita i-criteria, ezi criteria kudala zikhona, eyoqualifyela i-World Cup yayenye indlela, yatshintsha to extend yayindlela ethile. Eye-Champions League yayindlela ethile, yatshintsha indlela ethile. I-Club World Cup bekade ibe iteam ewine i-Champions League iye yodwa phaa, then iyobhulisha ezi team izilindile uba izodlala iigame eziyi-2 mhlawumbi i-semi-final ne-final. So ii-criteria abantu funeka bayazile uba at some stage zizawumane zidevelopeka as the time goes by, because i-football ikhulile ngoku. Hence it looks like ingathi it's favoring European teams because kukhona a certain criteria abayisebenzisayo which is not working good. And it would be great xa bekuthiwa okay, all teams okanye all continents when we talk about football will be based on the same criteria, but ke it can be kuyacaca uba ke sohlala singalingani. And ke and one point endifuna uyigqibelisa ngayo, it would be great kum ndisatsho again, it will be great into yoba if ii-teams zalapha eSouth Africa njengoba sisithi siyayisimplifya with a dream that abasithengisela yona of uba you can reach into efana ne-1 billion, it would be great mna babe ndibona more teams zalapha eSouth Africa, because if besina more teams then sifike kwistage zoba ukhona oyiwina kaninzi le Club World Cup, I mean the Champions League, kube khona oyiwinayo ngoku, siyazi uba sizoba nezo team mhlawumbi ziyi-2 kanye ziyi-3 enye zobe iqualifye nge-point system. Uyabo. So yonke le nto it goes back to ku-PSL, as much as siyibona ngathi i-football yethu ingathi ingcono. Ewe ingathi ingcono because certain team yiyo qha ewinayo, yiyo le mane iqualifyela kwezi competitions ezinkulu. But i-growth ye-league it needs to be zibe ninzi ezi team zethu that continuously ziqualifyela ezi competition. ezifana no Pirates, it's SuperSport Cape Town seed. Then ke ngoku it goes back to owners zitshintshe indlela yokwenza. But ke you cannot force abantu ba how to run their businesses, even though sinazo i-problem esizibonayo esithi nansi i-problem ikhona kule team yenu. But ke ngoku when you identify that problem, we identify it to the people who are not interested to hear it. But this is the problem that is affecting your team, because in SuperSport they're only interested in to make profit by selling players.
Yeah.
They don't care ukuba bona ithini vision yabo 10 years to come. We want to reach the Club World Cup. Sizibone qualifying sibe kwi standard of winning the league so many times. So
for time's sake,
it needs an installment to the teams. Yeah.
I think what I wanted to
I'm not interested to buy like you say anyone.
Yeah. Let me just my TikTok is doing something here. What I wanted to say again, guys, I feel like Sundowns is the example. Guys, it's not sustainable. Well, okay, it's not sustainable for everybody to be throwing money. Same as Man City. We've spoken about Real Madrid. Real Madrid had an unfair loan system. Real Madrid and Barcelona, their financial history is crazy because they've had unfair loans for all of the years that they've been big. So essentially, they had the type of money that we're asking for. My question is only that, how many Motsepes are you going to find? They're going to want to put all their money into this thing. And maybe his ultimate goal wasn't even Sundowns. Maybe his ultimate goal was president of CAF. Maybe his ultimate goal was something bigger for him. Apologies, guys. Right? And he got his thing back. But are we not creating a situation where now we are saying that everyone must have that much money or invest? No, agent, besides that, still, you're asking me to put in 200 million, you put in 200 million, 200 million. Oksalayo, we have to watch that collective billion go into that team. It's easier when that motivation came from elsewhere. I don't think, honestly speaking, I don't think Sundowns was the motivation for Motsepe to do what he did. I think Motsepe had an idea. I think Sheikh Mansour had an idea. I think Roman Abramovich had an idea. They wanted to own a team. They wanted to do this. They got a team. It could have been anybody else. I don't know what type of deals he was going for. I know that the other billionaires had been asking around because they just wanted to own a team where they could throw this money. How many of those people are going to invest in African football? The Simba owner was complaining that he loses $20 million a year. Not complaining. He said he loves the club. Oh, I love the club. What. And he was like, it's $20 million. And you could tell that he's not necessarily happy about it, but he's like, hey guys, I'm going to put the money into it and we'll see because I love it. It's not a labor of trying to make a profit. It's a labor of love. I think Abramovich had more money than Chelsea could ever make him. I think Sheikh Mansour, the owner of Man City, has more money than Man City could ever make him. Those type of things. But anyway, I wanna jump to the other side. Agent, do these things not create situations where teams like Sundowns are in a catch-22? Sundowns has the ambition, they've invested, they have to play all of these games, extra games, X amount of games every week, what. Now, by virtue of that, I need a bigger squad. I can't not spend. I need to get that bigger squad. And I need them to be quality because I'm playing in more quality competitions. So now when teams are looking at Sundowns saying, you guys are killing the quality, you guys are shopping some. They've got 60 games, they've got 70 games, they can't not spend. Is it not creating those type of situations again where the big teams are in a situation where you have to get bigger?
Can I engage Abitukutu on something, 10 seconds, and engage you also before I go to your question? Guys, the thing is, like I said, I always say maybe Animal Farm, that the argument in the US right now is women want equal pay.
Very careful.
Yeah. But then people are like, no, man, you can't get equal pay because, man, I have more, I bring in more money, I have more investors, there's more that, right? Which is a fair argument, I guess.
Yes.
Right? So even it's the same thing maybe to go outside. Let's say I have 2 degrees, even in as much as I'm doing the same job as someone with matric, I must earn more. So what I'm saying in simple is European teams have to have more teams than African teams because they're going to have the most viewership, they're going to bring in the most money, they're going to bring in the most clubs. So it's only fair, guys. Sometimes you have to look at things from their own perspective, right? If I'm going to be earning less money, but I have more viewership, I have more ticket sales, I have more everything, then what is it benefiting me? You must also look at it through that lens also. But anyways, that's not your question.
Okay, no, it's fine.
No, you can ask maybe.
No, I wanted to ask, Kore, I think my problem is that the governing body of football, its mandate is not, or it's meant to not be that we are skewing things for one side. It's meant to be, how do we create situations as a body where other teams may have access to that? Now, and I say it like that because I'm not asking FIFA, CAF, or whoever to change the rules in JAIR. I'm asking them to go, okay, fine, Europe is up here, right? CAF, and more specifically CAF, because UEFA is a very selfish organization. But anyway, CAF.
Yeah, but
how do we make sure that we put ourselves here? And then when we get into those conversations, how do we make sure that when we're sitting there, because Europe will look at you and say, Real Madrid, Man City, and list them off. They've created all those things through their own structures and their own rules. And then CAF can only say, Ahly, we dead, Sundowns, I guess, because of the one win. Are they doing enough then to justify that? And are they fighting at a body level? I'd assume that the contributions are the same. I assume that the number of members is meant to be the same. I assume that at a FIFA level, they're meant to be equal members. But then now one body is fighting for itself.
I can say, I wouldn't say skewing. Skewing is a harsh word. It's a hard word. It's a harsh word. I would say fair.
But why is it fair? Where do the resources go? So when 12 teams, it's the same conversation. It's the same conversations we're saying right now, where it's like, Ahly has money, Ahly has structures, Ahly has all that stuff. You are giving Ahly more money, and then you are saying to me that I have to catch Ahly. And then we look at Mamelodi Sundowns, for example, that had to spend tons of money of their own, for their own owner. Motsepe came in and said, guys, I'll make it rain, it's fine, right? In order to catch those guys. Are we not doing the same thing then if Europe keeps getting everything? And again, I don't want to take anything away from Europe. I want us, CAF, to be selfish like UEFA and say, okay, guys, we are going to do 1, 2, and 3 in order to build the African game. We're not going to, these things that you guys want to do, we're not going to really take part in them. We're focused on Africa and building Africa up in order.
I think until and unless Africa is ready, Africa, Condiball, Asia, whatever, until and unless they can come to the table and say, but FIFA, take, these are our numbers, right? This is our viewership, Remember our viewership from Africa. Africa has numbers, right? We have very high numbers, right? So if we can say, FIFA, these are our numbers, this is what we're bringing to the table. Then they will listen to us. Then we can complain and say, you guys are treating us fairly. We are bringing in similar numbers to UEFA. But why are they getting 3 times us? Until we reach that point, then it's unfair. Sometimes it's like someone coming to me and asking, can you do this for me? I'm like, I want this per hour. And like, yeah, I know someone shares saying, no, that now I'm doing because I suffered to get to here. So let's suffer to get to the levels of UEFA, and then we can
But
discuss
FIFA's
that point,
funding the suffering of Europe. They've always funded the suffering of Europe. So that's like taking FIFA's money, giving it to Europe, and then saying to Africa, hey guys, you have to figure it out, man.
I think this needs a whole different conversation.
Okay. Back to the question.
What I wanted to say is like, even in the UN, China, the superpowers bring in more money, so they have the veto power, while other Africans don't have the veto power, But
because China did what? China was like, screw you guys.
Yes.
But anyway,
we should do a China also. We should do a China
that's what
also.
I was saying.
Let's to get there. Yes.
But anyway,
let's
just not to divert. Yeah.
Your question.
I've even forgotten the question. The question is that aren't teams like Mamelodi Sundowns being put into a catch-22 situation where even if Sundowns wanted to be charitable, they've got more games. They have to get more players. They have to spend more money. They have to buy more guys. They have to get more quality. Because, I mean, you can't expect Sundowns with a squad of 30 to play 50, 60, 70 games, right? So isn't that another place where, by virtue of this catch-22, Sundowns has to keep going? And it might carry on, quote-unquote, weakening. I don't want to say weakening the league, but they have to find the talent, and some rules might have to be changed for them.
Yeah, but I think I stand to be corrected. But isn't it that there is a certain number of players that can be registered in a season?
In the PSL. But then can you imagine if I'm playing CAF and Club World Cup, can I do the gymnastics that Sundowns has done with their foreign players now for the Club World Cups? Is it something that has to be brought in?
Then, yeah, I think it's up to them. If they feel like they're going to have players reserved for World Cup, that's for them, But 30 players, right? What we want, when we said we want 30 players, are we justifying that a team should have 15 good players and 15 poor players? What needs to happen is you are given 30, get the best 30 players as you can.
No. I'm saying that I'm just saying that is it not creating a situation where Sundowns, by virtue of all of these games, they have to get more than 30. There's no way that they can. You get what I mean? And it's further perpetuating that thing as well, because Sundowns can't sit down and say, "Oh no, guys, we're not going to sign anyone because we're being loyal to the cause." No, it's creating a situation where they have to go and do these things.
No, I think for me, like I said, it's going to be a way of improving the league. If Sundowns is getting more quality, if Sundowns is buying more money, Supersport is getting more money. It's a cycle. But my main point is, if Sundowns is getting more quality players from abroad, how they do it, then it means other teams should get more quality players in. Overall, the quality, the median or the average quality of teams improve. Simple.
Okay. I feel like that trickle-down economics, but it's fine. Malumekuto, same question to you. Again, these structures are perpetuating systems where those big teams have to get bigger and better, just even to keep up with the schedule. So isn't that also a place where it's taking teams away from others?
Well, it's happening either way, with or without the added number of games. They're already shopping at other teams, and it's fine. It's the name of the game. It happens everywhere. But Mr. Mosimane, as I'm not one to accept a blanket statement blindly, so just if how many games have Sundowns played this season?
I don't know. I think it's in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. Last I checked.
Will it be in the 50s, or is it already in the 50s?
I believe it might be. Sundowns fans, just help me out there. Anyway.
All right. Because as far as I know, the Europeans have a longer calendar in the sense of which the Champions League stages and Champions League games have more teams and are much longer. Their league has more teams, which makes it much longer.
Mm.
Their cup competition format, I think both, and I stand to be corrected, include lower league teams, so they in turn are longer as well. So the narrative that they play a lot of games, and it's foreign to human race, I doubt it's accurate the way it's being sold at the moment, Mr. Uti. But basically, what I'm saying is it's doable, Mr. Uti, and should they wish to play lesser games, then they can employ the system of yesteryear. Yabo Kanakibo Mang, yabo Arsenal, Man United, where they would play players unfancied in these Carabao Cups, in these FA Cups. So that option is still open to them as well, Mr. Uti. And if they wish to buy players, no one is stopping them. I mean, they've been doing this thing. Yeah, I understand. Umfundo has been asking to be added, Mr. Uti.
Yeah, I'm doing it for time because I'm actually meant to go into the next topic where I'd get a whole new talk, whole new people in. I want to close up this one, yeah.
And yeah, he gave me an incentive thanks to him. So I have to push his narrative. You see, they have two kids. That's from so Mr. All I'm saying is if they wish to play more games, they can continue and sign more players. They're even struggling to use the current crop that they have. So
Yeah.
clearly they can afford to play more games. And I'm still saying, Mr. Uti, I find it hard to believe that they've actually played or will play more games than Man City. Something is not adding up for me there.
So then my question becomes, Malome Kuts, I understand.
Unless we adding those games to AFL, then I can say it's possible.
Well, if the AFL goes to 32 teams and then Champions League is already 30, is it already 32 teams or throughout qualifying? Then also you go to the Club World Cup, let's say they qualify, it's another 32 team tournament. And there's PSL and all of the other stuff. It's not that it's not possible. My thing is that Sundowns would be the team in the league that is playing those games, that number of games. So in comparison to the rest of the league, they would have more. And maybe one of the things that they might have to look at is to go, okay, because we're playing more and because it's no longer just for Nedbank and things like that, it's also for Club World Cup. We also need to get quality in order for that quality to play in these games. Tebogo Mokwena might not be able to play in the AFL. He might be looking at the Club World Cup. Maybe, I would assume, you'd want to get an equal or better player to come in and play AFL and Champions League or to change those things. I don't know. But I was just making the point that at the end of the day, it's going to be more games than anybody else in the league.
I mean, Mr. Uti, they already have Bafana midfielder Batusi Obas deputizing for Zungu, who's deputizing for Rivaldo Kutsia. So they already have an avalanche in terms of equality. And at the risk of embarrassing myself, Mr. Uti, right now, what's the difference between, maybe it has changed, between the Stormers and Western Province?
I have not watched rugby in a very long time, Malumukuzi. Hit me.
Because I think it was the same team and they would employ different squads, different players would be.
Oh, no, it's two different teams. It's two different teams.
Yeah, Western Province and the Stormers.
Two different teams.
And you would have Sharks adlala Curry Cup, Nama Sharks adlala the international format. But anyway, let me step down and have agent say something or Preston.
I want to say to you that it's not that we'll play more games overall than Man City, it's just that at a certain point we played more games. Obviously, Man City will catch up and succeed us at other English teams, but at some point we had played 30 games while they're maybe 16 or 17.
Yeah, and the local teams won't be able to catch it. Stormy, does this again create a situation where teams might have to spend more, have to do more, and then we're going to look at Sundowns and say, you're signing everyone, Ganti Sundowns is playing more games. Are we creating another structure that is in that way?
Yes, but OT, we cannot run away from the fact that teams, they need to sign players in order to I don't think we have to shy away from that fact because at some stage, teams, they need to sign players. And secondly, I think it's still needed in teams is many access to sponsors because you'll find out about teams as Nancy they're not selling too much merchandise in as far as t-shirts in order to make money. And it teams that in the advantage of doing that, the team as far as the Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, Paris. But again, Kaizer Chiefs and Paris are selling more merchandise than Sundowns. So at some stage, but teams they need to make injection yemali because le mali ifakwa ngu-PSL or SAFA to the teams maqala season it's not enough. And teams ufumaniseke uba ziye zidipende koomasipala oomasipala mhlambe abanike i-3 million uyendiva for the whole season esongeza le 2 million uyinikwe nguSAFA, which is that money is not enough because at some stage funeka ubhatele ii-players kukhona i-travelling, and that travelling une-accommodation you need to buy players zilale kwindawo with a good standard and pay ezo players. So at some stage, even noba siyazi noba EPSL, it was created for those mafias sizaziyo, but these that are benefiting ngoba kubekho EPSL because at some stage they need to look at things ngelinye imehlo but ukuvalela teams as sponsors, whereas siyazi the owners of those teams are not having imali enough to sustain those teams. These are the problems we are incurring with South African football. So mna ndiyibona ngento ba teams owners, they need to go out and look for investors in order a team izibe nayo imali to sustain the team, because it's so disappointing to hearing in teams that they cannot pay players as players uzive zikhala ngendawo yolala neyohlala. It's very unfortunately ziyenzeka ezo nto. Ufind out iiteam ezifana no-Royal AM azikwazi ubhatala ii-players, but the owner nabantwana bawo is driving imoto ezingapha kwale mali yobhatala ezi players. So an understanding of football and the business, it needs an installations to the teams and owners ground level. Abantu may understand about how to run a team to be successfully. And in the good cloud runner a team, funeka understand investment is very important in order to mail and before. So now team same up investment is very needed, and at some stage funeka see accept alone, but as a team they cannot grow without money. So thina sawuhlala sibe nee-teams ezakukhwalifayile i-Nedbank kube kuphelile ngazo, otherwise iseninzi into funeka siyifundile thina.
Okay, no, Pastor Tommy, thank you so much. Guys, lastly for me, please, if you have not followed, please follow. I think the last point for me is, do you know what I loved about the Super League? The teams came out and they told us directly. Florentino Perez came out and told us that, guys, it's unfair for Real Madrid, a club of Real Madrid size, that's generating all this profit, that we're doing all that stuff, that we have to share with the rest of you guys in the league who don't have the big stuff. Allow us to go make our own league where we can make more money for ourselves and we can maximize our commercial values on our own. We'll still play in the league, but to where we can maximize our money to the nth degree. And we're watching Europe, we're watching FIFA going towards that. These tournaments are not created to uplift football. Let's be honest. And the reason why the Super League ended that side was because teams were like, oh, Mara guys, you guys don't exist if not for us. And it's very hard for us to do what you guys do. So now we are looking at these places. And again, you qualify for the AFL how? By being perennial participants in the Champions League. We already know those teams. We know them. Like, you can probably name all 32 that might take part in that thing. We know them. You qualify for the World Cup by being a Club World Cup by being previous winners or by being a current winner. Who are those teams? We know in the African context, it's always going to be Wydad. It's always going to be Ahly. They've got 20-something titles, if I'm not mistaken, right? So now you're asking somebody on the outside to firstly convince investors to give them the amount of money that Ntate Motsepe has spent. Kudos to Ntate Motsepe. Kudos to him, because for years he threw money into a black hole. Learning, figuring out structures, doing all that stuff, right? So now you're going to ask that team to find investors, sponsors, convince them that, guys, we're not there now, but for the next 12 years, I need you to put in X amount of money every single year. No return. Not to mention the fact that our clubs already struggle with everything else. With everything else, marketing, what. So already those sponsors are doing you a favor. Then once you get into the big leagues, remember, Simba are still there. Sundowns are still there. Wheated are still there. And they're still growing and building. So now I have to consistently get into this Champions League and then now go and compete with those guys. So I must find the resources from somewhere to go do that on such a consistent basis, because it's a 4-year ranking system, that I can get into there. Guys who have been playing and winning, they've got the points. Guys, it's a tall order. And I think Mamelodi Sundowns is the lesson for all of us. 12 years it took Ntate Motsepe to win the Champions League. 12 years. 12 years where he's building, he's growing, he's learning, he's structuring, he's restructuring. We're trying this guy, we're trying that guy, we're trying. It's not going to be a 3 years, we've invested. In fact, in South Africa, I think there's only one team that can do that. Well, two, actually. 2 teams that if they wanted to could do that. One is Supersport, because MultiChoice backs them, multinational billion rand company. They're going through some trouble, so maybe not so much. 2, Stellenbosch, because their owner is 3 or 4 times richer than Motsepe. So if he wanted to, he could do it. But that's the level of investment that you're going to need. And is that realistic in Africa? That is my thing, where I'm like, I struggle with that, because you are taking it further away. And I love those teams from Europe, because those teams from Europe told you straight up, guys, that side, we can make a crap ton more money with our own TV deals, with our own sponsors, with our own big clubs. That's why we want to start a Super League. They told us straight up, it wasn't a charity case, it wasn't a this, it's closed, there's no relegation, there's no promotion, it'll be very hard for you to get into this team, or it's near impossible for you to get into that place. So they told us. I feel like we're being sold a dream by FIFA. Where FIFA is doing what UEFA wants, because UEFA is under pressure from these teams, and we are being strung along. 4 teams, 2 of which are going to be there. Ahly and we know they are going to be there. So already you've taken away half. These 2 teams, how many teams can this feed? How many new teams? Whereas in Europe, there's 12 spaces. There's a reason why they did all of this stuff. There's 12 spaces. Every year, you know that it's a big team from somewhere. They keep doing this. They keep changing this. We sat down and went, oh no, this is great. I don't know, guys. I honestly, I don't think that it applies in the African context. And I think that FIFA has shot us in the foot there. But anyway, guys, I think I'll stretch the show a little bit. Okay, let me do this. Tomorrow, Bafana is playing at 11. I'll see if I can't go live at 7 to discuss the secondary topic that I wanted to discuss. But I see that a lot of people are banning to speak about what we're speaking about now. So I'm going to allow you guys in, and I'm going to let you speak about this thing. I'll give it 45 minutes. I'll go over by 15 minutes on my normal time. Velimine, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
No, I'm good. Tell me, what are your general thoughts about this discussion that we were having now, briefly?
I think as much as you know that money, preparation, and everything, you know, it is some of the things that makes teams to be good, no? But football is unpredictable, man. You know, you can get fluke winners. People can win it once. More like Kaizer Chiefs almost won it, but they were bad. They were bad in the league. They've been bad, right? But in terms of money, I really do not think money is the solution. I think with money, maybe if you put in money for like 10 years or 5 years, you can get it right. In our league,
Yeah.
more specifically, in our league, if you put in maybe 200 to 100 million every season to a team, maybe it will take you about 5 to 10 years to get it right, right? But to be honest with you, I think we the fans as well we are to be blamed. As much as a player can be bad, if you go to a full stadium, I think sometimes you can improve to know that if I go to the stadium, I'm playing in Loftus, there's going to be like 30,000, 20,000 fans there. You know, you get motivated. That's why I always say Sundowns is doing good right now. Everything is going well for us, but I think probably one of our downfalls would be that we as the Sundowns fans, or we as South Africans right now, we don't value Sundowns as much as, like, compared to how they play. We don't value them. Sundowns is like at the heart of Pretoria. I don't know how many people are staying in Pretoria, but you basically can walk to Loftus. There's like UP, there's like colleges around. Mamelodi, you probably could walk from Mamelodi to Hatfield, you know. That's why I say Sundowns is doing good right now, but their downfall will probably be the fact that they go to a stadium. For you to bring Sundowns when it's playing Ahly, you need to say, okay, fans, come in for free. Wear yellow, come in for free. But if you bring Sundowns and Ahly is playing against Sundowns and the ticket is $80, probably more Ahly fans will be full in Loftus than Sundowns fans. So I don't think money is a solution. I think it takes a lot for a team to really be like a good team and all of that, you know. So I feel like Chiefs and Pirates still have the potential, man. I think they're getting the administration side of it wrong. They really do have a potential. I don't think even money is a problem. I don't even think them having many owners as Chiefs or Pirates is a problem. I think they need to get the administration side of it right. But for the fact that they are making money as the shareholders of Chiefs, as the shareholders of Parrot, I don't think they mind them being this bad, to be honest, because they know that they're going to make money. When they go play in Bombela, the stadium's going to be full. If they go play in Polokwane, the stadium's going to be full. If they release a new jersey, probably maybe 1 million jerseys are going to be sold, you know? So I don't think they mind being this bad. You know?
But then isn't that the issue? Because I think the main point of what I was trying to say is that for a team to be good, or for a team to want to do all these things, as it stands, you need a crazy owner. You get what I mean? So you need somebody who's willing to do it for 12 years. You look at Amazulu. Amazulu had it right 1 year where they finished second. And when you ask Ubab Zungu, no disrespect to him, to repeat it, it's tough, you know? And I think that's where the money plays in, that how many times can you afford to fail to get it right? And I feel as though the structures of our football, even the teams themselves, I don't want to let them get away from it, but the structures are perpetuating, they're making it worse. You get what I mean? Because when you now want to fight Sundowns, and again, Sundowns is doing everything they must do. I would never take anything away from Sundowns, but I'm a team wanting to fight Sundowns. I have to somehow fight at the level of Motsepe's money, right? That he can throw in fairly, but I also have to fight at the level of they're going to go and get money from FIFA as well. You get what I mean? So does it not make it an impossible task? Not impossible, it's not impossible, but at a large scale, it can't be repeated a lot, because even in our league, Motsepe Tate Motsepe is he stands alone because he's the only one that has done it. He did it to fight Chiefs and Pirates. You get me?
Yeah. I think the only thing that Sundowns got right is not the okay. Let me start maybe my argument here to say Sundowns maybe now they do buy South American players. They do buy players from South Africa who are playing overseas, right? But for the past few years, the majority of our players were getting it from these small teams that are there. All these good players that we are saying they're good now, they're coming from this very own PSL, from the, from the lower leagues as well. So it's not a matter of you need really, like, you do need money. I don't want to be on, maybe probably need 200 million in the PSL to have a good team. But I'm saying, if you have good scouts as Chiefs and Pirates in the PSL and in the lower division, you could get like players who can compete. Never mind if maybe they can't compete in the PSL with Sundowns, but probably would compete in the CAF as well. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think that, in my argument, I don't think these teams are, I can say, well, we don't have money to compete with Sundowns.
No. It's not about money. It's not about money. It's about the willingness to do it over and over again. Chiefs might spend money 1 year. But if you ask Bobby, and that's just an attitude thing. A lot of the teams is an attitude thing. But if you ask Bobby to do it for 8 years in a row, he'll tell you no way.
I always ask myself, who is the main decider at Sundowns to buy players, whether local or abroad players? I know they've scouts and all of that, but I always wonder who is the final say. Is it Rulani? Is it Trot? Is it the directors and all of that? Because I think at Chiefs or Pirate, there's always maybe that one guy who's always deciding to say, no, we're going to buy Thulani Hlatshwayo because he's playing for South Africa. And then he gets to Pirate, he thinks he's the big man, and then he fails dismally. So I always wondered sometimes who decides. Is it the coach? Is it the manager?
There's also money back there. They've got TDs, they've got all that. But let me bring in Tech. Tech, welcome to the show, Tech. How are you? Tech Lyon. Okay, we'll come back. Mfundo, finally, man, you've jumped on. Welcome.
Hey, sanibona ninjani?
Hey, Mfundo, mina ngifuna ukushaya topic ayi-2, but it's fine. Wasikhulume. Tell me, Mfundo, what do you think about this conversation we're having?
All right. I think understand this is something.
Yeah.
People, they will buy teams to make money. They think that when you buy a team, you are making money. They don't understand Uguti. It's an investment that takes time to reach that point. We understand. So, Motsepe bought Sundowns early 90s.
2004. Yeah, well, he started buying in the 90s, but full on out 2004.
Angithi, yazi leti kanjani? You buy shares, typically you buy shares in Checkers. You go and buy shares in Checkers. Then you become a board member Checkers. You understand which Checkers rana kanjani, right?
Yeah.
Motsepe bought some shares ku Sundowns and understood the Sundowns, which okay fine. This is a team that needs 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. As a business person, right?
Yeah.
End of the day, 2004, wayithenga yonke club. You can understand the look. Into ebulala ama-team ase-South Africa, most of the owners ama-team ase-South Africa, they will buy teams to make money, not to invest money. And get a proper structure that will always make sure the team maintain standards. 1, 2, they get right players. 2, they always to have a good loan when it comes to merchandising. They have good merchandising, good people that are able to sell out in those accounts. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Typically,
before you move off of that point, I like what you're saying, but I also like it because I feel as though the PSL again is structure to find owners, to vet owners is part of the reason why they struggle. Because Sundowns, let's be honest, I don't want to say it like this, they were lucky to get an owner like Motsepe, who's done his research before, who buys a little bit, then he's willing to spend his money. It's not a function of his structure as a PSL. You get what I mean? But anyway, carry on.
Okay, it's not about the structure as a PSL. It's about the structure as a team.
No,
You
Angisho
understand?
Moteng. Todd Bowley at Chelsea had to wait 6 months. They have a 6-month process where they make sure Guti Maungena is the owner. You're not just an owner who's trying to do until you are serious. So they make sure Guti before you even set foot into the team, they've already vetted you all the way. You're not going to cry about salaries. You're going to have to put money towards stadiums and things like that. It's part of your contract when you come in.
Yeah, which is something that PSL needs to learn from other leagues. Yeah, well, so any in the futsal when it comes to PSL, they're trying to maintain standards that we're not able to afford. Yeah, but PSL can be the best league in Africa, but the thing is this: they just take those minor billionaires, those minor millionaires, and allow them to buy teams without understanding Uguti. If football is not like running a spaza shop, no more running a only liquor store, so at the end of the day we will to make a profit each and every time. You need to have a good proper structure that will always come with players that will be able to make you man. How many guys have been bought to Sundowns for his scouting? Go and check how many guys have been bought to Sundowns for his scouting. And check abantu abadila ne-medical ye-Sundowns ukuthi how many people have been bought from outside the country. Yabo? As a person, when you're running like a team, you need to go in outside, go an extra mile, do research and check abantu. So at the end of the day, you are able to maintain standards alone. Se team yakho and grow team yakho ibe phambili. Check Man City, the guy who bought Man City. Man City was one of the lowest teams party. Bebene status. The guy bought Man City. Bought to coach, then ask the coach what you will need. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to give what I want as a man. Then the coach will check 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and allow coach to select players that he needs. Because most of the ama team like South Africa, they don't allow coaches to select the players. They just bring players and say, go and play this guy, go play this guy. Yeah, but end of the day, you cannot own a material that you're not able to use it. Because like you've been bought players. Now but like to team maintain standards a team. How do you do that while was you don't need that player. You don't need that player. And you got an agent that says right, you sign my player. And the contract team you have to play that player 99 games.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you are done. Then end of the day, you end up being under pressure. You're not able to run a team. Like the typical example, why teams in the coach what Uzos and a technical team? Why didn't you ask yourself that? Because end of the day, they will tell the coach, these are the players that we have. Use those players so at the end of the day you'll give us what we need. Go and check the coach use Morocco. It's my coach I number 1. Where's the structure sakhe wa emva kwalokho wa release ama players angawadingi then the team yamthengela ama players awadingayo. So at the end of the day he's able to put ama results on the table. Then how you supposed to put ama results on the table as a coach while you're not giving infrastructure right? It's like you're running a municipality, but you don't have right candidates to run that municipality. The only thing that they think of is to make money. End of the day, babe right. So in the Bulala EPSL, the club owners they are so in the Kremlin. They are making money. They need to make money this season. We have to make money. Then we made last year. But then they don't have a good material to run it team. They don't have a good structure. Say it's a scouting. They don't develop a band. They just wanted to buy players or sell players. So at the end of the day, they are able to maintain the club. Why my Buzuguti Stellenbosch does not have so many owners? Only got one owner. because Urubet understand ukuthi when you invest on something, you need to get right infrastructure. Then emva kwalokho allow coach ukuthi athenga abadlali abafunayo, so at the end of the day uyakwazi ukuthi okay fine dot, I gave you the material that you need, I gave you the good structure of the scouting, you got the best medical doctors, you got each and everything that is best. Why are you failing to deliver what you promised to deliver to me? Because I gave you each and everything that you need as a coach. So at the end of the day, you don't blame me ukuthi yazi school team it does not give me 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. How I'm able to run the team. That's why you'll find each and every time, like the likes of Pirates, like Champions League, they are not willing to go because the owners they don't see the need to go to team and build up. No, they don't invest on the team. Final. When was the last time you saw like likes of Kaizer Chiefs, Pirates, or Super Sports, before quarter final with Champions League? When was it? When was it? End of the day, we're expecting Gucci. Sundowns have to maintain its standards. If you don't spend money, don't expect some results, right? You cannot compare Nuti. My team is not performing because you don't spend money. If you don't spend money, then like your business is going down to the drain. Check Kaizer Chiefs. Kaizer Chiefs is losing so much money and player and fans because the only thing that they're focusing on merchandising. They are good when it comes to merchandising. I won't lie. Merchandising the Chiefs is right when it comes to that. But then a grounding, they are able to do something right. End of the day, what is the use of to keep 1.5 but taking your Chiefs them showing the grounding? What is the use?
Okay.
Merchandising is right, but at the end of the day, does the team perform?
But then are we asking, I think the question then becomes, again, are we still asking that we need to find owners that are willing to investment? I don't think Ubaba Motsepe has made any of his money back. And I don't think his reason for buying the team was to make money. So how many owners are we going to be able to find that are going to be willing to do that?
Motsepe understood the business. The first thing that you need to understand. Motsepe understood the business. Good business, how you run a business. It can take you 20 years to make a profit. But the main purpose is to what? To maintain a business. Motsepe understood that.
I don't think Motsepe was in it to make money from Sundowns. I think the reason why Motsepe got Sundowns is solely for the reason where the position he holds right now in football. He needed a way in, and Safa didn't want him to come in. So I think his goals are different. That's why he doesn't ask for money back. And again, kudos to him because he was able. Guys, it's not, I think we're simplifying it, that it's not easy to spend that much money over 12 years and not necessarily see that much of a return back. Yes, there's trophies and things like that. And I'm just asking if in the structures of FIFA itself, when they go towards this type of football, they go to this type of structures where teams are not meant to sustain themselves. So they're not meant to sustain themselves. Sundowns as a business is not a good business because Man City, Chelsea, Real Madrid, they're chasing them now for monies and things. Real Madrid, Barcelona, we saw it last year, that the way they had been run was not good business. But then now with FIFA trying to go into that way for all clubs, is it sustainable for all clubs at the bottom, especially Africa? That's my thing.
All right. Let us understand one thing. It's like running a business, then you attract investors, right? So you run a business with the hope of one day I will make a profit, right? If your business is doing well, then your investors will come. If your business does not do well, the investors will go, right? When it comes to football, what makes investors to come in is the performance of your team.
Yeah.
You understand? Yes. Okay, fine. Imazulu did well. and brought some investors. But the thing is that the owner of the club wanted to make money, not to maintain the standards. Seball. So in the shaba dileyo, most of omamkhize bana imali. Into abafuna ukuyenza ukwenza profit. Babalekela ukukhokha into ni tax ngokuthi ba own ama club.
That's why ngisho.
That's why end of the day they are failing to pay abadlali, to give abadlali the right. Uyakhumbula ifika ilona i-Royal M. Each and every game they'll win. Will come to the field, give players money. For what? For to sit. Okay, fine. Why don't you take that money and get good structure in your scouting? 1, 2, get a good management. Ezokwazi ukuthi okay fine, i-team irana kanje. The thing is this, most of the clubs in South Africa, they are run by families. Umuntu ozokutshela ukuthi this is a family business. Okay fine, this is a family business, but then why are you running it for abantu? How can you say ukuthi we don't care about supporters, this is our family business? Start up his business sokusho lokho. It's okay fine, they build the team, yaba right, but then maintain the team. Make sure that you maintain the team. How do you maintain the team while when you come and gucci like for your own benefits?
But
that's
okay.
That's why you find Somalians, the guys from the Arabs, they will invest more money to teams, not just for benefit and profit, just to make sure they build that business and become sustainable. So at the end of the day, their money will come back one day. They got that gold. But then when it comes to South Africa, club owners, they always want to make a profit within the terms of 10 months. How do you make a profit while you don't have good structures along the team?
For time's sake,
they will direct you right. But then, it takes sense.
For time's sake, let me bring it to Vuyo. Vuyo, if you can just finish off that thought that you had earlier. Are you still with me, Vuyo? I think Vuyo is not with me. Let me go to Wawa. Wawa, how are you doing? Okay, guys. Okay, look. I think...
Yes, man. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you.
Wait, who's with me?
No, my network had a problem here. Wow, it's a one day.
Wow. No, okay. What are your thoughts, Wawa? Welcome.
I wouldn't lie. Sfundo Mfethu made a lot of valid points. I wouldn't lie. And also Svelimine made a lot of points. But I think Sbaningi, we're forgetting the point. Uguti, where is the problem? Where it all begins, right?
Yeah.
I feel like in order for our South African football to be on the world class, to be somewhere far, kuqale kusothwa se indaba ye PSL ne SAFA. That's the first thing that we need to sort out. Sort out SAFA, usosate PSL, they need to have a relationship. They need to have one goal in order for us to attract investors or attract good coaches or attract people who are going to be willing to invest in our country.
Just give me a second there.
I think
Wawa, you can carry on. I can hear you. You can carry on. No?
All right. So once that is sorted out, once PSL and also SAFA comes together and actually have one agreement, which this is how the South African football should go. That's the start. Second of all, I don't think it's also good, Uguti, umuntu on a club like KHOZA. You can't be a president of PSL and also own a club. It doesn't make sense. Even if you make decision, I feel like you are going to be biased with your decisions. I don't know if I make sense on that. So with Mamelodi Sundowns coming to Kaizer Chiefs, coming to Orlando Pirates, I think a lot of people fail to understand what these clubs are here to make money, not caring about players. Because even stories when they break out, they say some players, Lodge, they give an example, is probably earning 450,000 a week, right?
Yeah.
That's an example. And only to find out Ugutu Mufukeng is only taking 20,000. You understand?
Yeah.
And if those two people are playing in the same team, one is a senior player taking home 450,000 and one player is taking home 20,000. So how do you balance the team to be one? That's another thing. I think for new players that are coming into the club should also be compensated enough. Why ngisho njalo? Because if we attract good, or what you call, good people that are willing to actually invest in South Africa, willing to bafagi mali into these teams. And again, I'll go back to Ipointila. I think it was Uvuyo or the other guy saying that the reason why we don't attract AMA sponsors, it is because AMA team are run by families. How do you run a club when you actually running it like a family business? It doesn't make sense, right? Going to this thing, Bobby. Bobby, I don't understand what say. How do you actually buy players for coach as an individual? How do you buy players for coach that you don't need? Because I believe, like South Africa, we need to start changing the thing of you become a coach or you become a manager. You understand? Because a manager runs the club. Your decisions should be final. If mina namhlanje I want uMonapole Saleng kwiKaizer Chiefs, I should be able to have the last say with Ngiyamfuna, I want to sign him, and that's a player I want to use to take the league or to be able to challenge a PSL or whether it's playing CAF or whatever the case might be. But now you can't have a coach, a manager that's going to be able to actually allow you to buy certain players or buy you certain players. I'm a scouty, they don't communicate no coach. They only communicate no problem. This is the player that we scouted. This is the player that we see fit. Also, the Kaizer Chiefs, they might be a brand, right? They're not playing football because they want to entertain people, but there is this brand thing. He fits the brand of Kaizer Chiefs. He fits the brand of Orlando Pirates. But are we getting results out of that person? How many people came into the team? Ngobo was doing well at Morocco Swallows. What happens when he came to Kaizer Chiefs? Everything died down. Why? Because he wasn't fitting the brand. You understand? So I think Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, they need to take out the mentality of we're here in this business because we're trying to push the brand. Not to get investors to invest in our club so we can be able to go to Africa or even play in a Club World Cup. It's only Sundowns, Mzansi. It's only Sundowns. Why it always has to be Sundowns? Why people, Njengo, Amazulu, are not getting the actual, how can I put it? The actual people that are able to run the club. Why did they let go of Upeni Makati? They won't be able to answer that question because he was demanding.
I think that's why I'm saying that, and I don't know how you change it. I think we'd have to make a conversation about this too. I think it all comes down to structure. And I think a lot of football, most of football, we love to make it seem like it's the scientific thing, but it all comes down to luck. I think that Babzungu said that he wants to see Amazulu in Champions League, let's say. And he brought in Abopeni and he brought in all those people. Then he saw that, it cost me this much to do this. Imagine how much it's going to cost me when I have to go to the Champions League, when I have to buy the players, when I have to get the personnel. I think a lot of our owners, and the reason why they don't spend too much is because if really I'm just having this team to dodge tax, I've done my dodging of tax. I can run it on the bare minimums. That means that I don't need to spend the extra money and do the extra work to go do other stuff. You look at Chiefs. I love the point you make about Chiefs. Chiefs makes public relations signings. The fans want this, and therefore, let's say umthetho. The fans are going crazy about umthetho. I know that if I sign umthetho, and this might be cynical, but if I sign umthetho, I know Uti, over the next 3 months, my socials are going to look like this. And my reach and what on marketing is going to look like this. Then I can sell that to a team. When I sign Ngobo, defender of the season last year, I don't need him to fit into the team. I just need him to spike, that marketing, PR. I need to spike, because then I can go to Vodacom and say, hey guys, you got 700 million views the past week. Their bare minimum, they understand that they can make money. I remember Upobi saying that he doesn't want to play CAF. We got banned. For those who don't know, we were once banned from CAF because we qualified for the Champions League. And then Chiefs said, nope, we're not doing that thing. And CAF banned us for 2 years. I think it was 2003 and 2004, right? Which shows you Chiefs' mentality towards that thing. Good, guys. You're telling me that now that I have to go to CAF, I have to now figure out the flights. I have to figure out more players in order for us to be competitive. I have to figure out all that stuff. What I'm scared of with our football right now is that in order to fight, you're going to need truly crazy, well-resourced owners. I think we downplay what Ntate Motsepe has built and the road that he had to go in order to build that. Guys, Sundowns was unveiling 8 players at transfer window. They were signing up Stoichkov. They were bringing in all these people. But you have to be crazy in order to do that continuously. And you have to be crazy in order to, you get what I mean? And I think personally, Motsepe's goal was not for Sundowns to be profitable. Motsepe's goal was either the presidency or the FIFA presidency. And I feel like he got that goal and he can sacrifice. I don't even think it's a sacrifice. You look at Man City's owner. I don't think he cares if Man City turns a profit. I'm sure they hate financial fair play because of that. I think it's a toy. It's a team I bought. We've created a conglomerate. Later on, we'll use it as assets. We don't necessarily need it to make money. But anyway, I think that's what I'm trying to get to, that I'm sad that football, in order to compete, you're going to need somebody crazy enough to do that. And I don't know if there's that many people who will.
Yes, but I don't know if it's true or it's a lie. I heard rumors, I think like 7-8 years ago, Patrice Motsepe actually bought Sundowns because his daughter wanted to have a team. I don't know if that's true, right? But if you come to think of it in reality, Patrice Motsepe, we lost such a good man. I think if he was given the chance of becoming a president where SAFA here in South Africa, a lot of things were going to change, because he doesn't come with the mentality of ngizodla imali, or I want to steal some money, like how much drama is happening in SAFA right now, right? He was going to be able to amend the relationship between SAFA and PSL. And once that is amended, he knows Uguti, it's so easy for him to attract investors, because that guy went into CAF, became a president, and he has done so much. He was able to even come up with a tournament, or AFL, that we never knew, in a space of about 2 years. What more could he have done for South Africa? What more would he brought in? How many investors was he going to be able to bring in South Africa? That guy just bought shares, Koma, Blue Bulls.
Yeah.
Why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? He's trying to build Pretoria. He's trying to make sure Pretoria is an attraction. Because now, if yes, guys, Patrice Motsepe, I think sometimes he doesn't think for himself, but he wants to bring this country into the map. And a lot of people here in South Africa are so greedy that they always want to shine. It must be me. It's khathi cause mfethu, I think as a chairman of PSL, sekuphelile man isikhathi mfethu. Give some young blood a chance. Come on. Jenny Jordaan, give somebody else a seat mfethu. Not everything has to be political. Not everything has to be money stolen, whatever the case. A certain family needs to benefit. No, guys, can we open up? I understand as black people, we never had that taste of money. We were under apartheid or whatever the case might be. But Masegwi's card to go to Tetele, please Tetela. Give other people, give the younger people who have new ideas, who have different experience. Let's see something different. If Ivory Coast was able to give Ueto an opportunity to become a president, why can't we give Lucas Radebe a certain position? Why can't we give Baningi, even Omkelele, Bangenile, because Hugo
why are you
Bruce had
chowing
to
into my
force-
topic? Why are you chowing into my topic for tomorrow, man? This is what I wanted to speak about today, but I wanted to give you guys a chance. Aye, man. You must come back tomorrow. Hey. You must come back tomorrow. Aye. So, Bab Ivan, go talk to Ivan because tomorrow. I wanted to speak about it today, but it's fine. Just for time's sake, I'm gonna have to jump in, though. I'm gonna have to jump in.
It's okay. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Let me give Veli a chance to close the show. Veli, can you close the show for me very shortly? What do you think?
Oh, my network is back. I thought maybe network is having some jealousy. I think I wanted to say two things, but the stress, all these things. I don't think there are teams that are making profit in the PSL. Probably
There isn't.
Chiefs or Pirates, maybe they are around. Yeah, I think maybe they're probably around somewhere they're trying to make profit, right? But I think I want to stress this point. As much as our teams are doing bad, or as much as it takes, your team guys are doing bad right now. But please, guys, go to the stadiums because I'm telling you, once Sundowns gets the PR side right, I think we're coming on right now that we bought Lodge.
Oh no, you're building. Hey, you guys are building that PR side.
The fact that buying Lodge created the hype. You know, all of that. We do want people to talk about Sundowns, not because they're winning, but we do want people to talk about. So we do want Chiefs fans to come and watch us, Pirate fans to come and watch us, just because it's Sundowns. We want to create that brand, not just about winning, but the brand of saying, okay, these people have won, maybe like 100,000 fans. But for the fact that they're playing beautiful football, they're bringing the players that we want. Maybe every season we buy one player that you guys want. I think we can afford to do that. If next season, maybe, let's say Bennett Parker was still here and you guys like him, all of you guys in South Africa, we'll bring him just for the sake of, we want to create that brand as a Sundowns.
Yeah.
I think if Sundowns now we get the PR side right, we are gone. We're gone.
Okay.
But guys, please, let's attend games. Let's not talk about our teams are doing bad and what. Some of you guys have the privilege of being 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers from the stadium. Attend the games, you know, because I'm telling you, some of these teams are not supported by the municipalities. You know, who owns these stadiums, who owns these grounds. They have to pay 4 million or have to pay 2 million or 1 million per game. And PSL, how much PSL is it providing for all of these teams? It's little money, you know. So we can say Mamkiza has the money. No, she doesn't have the money to run the PSL. You know, I don't think she has the money. You need the sponsors. And I also think the deal with dstv needs to be reviewed because I think there's a lot of people who are watching the PSL on the TVs, but I don't think the money that is being brought to the league is enough. You know?
Okay. Aye, that's it. You guys are bringing hot topics at the end of the show, man. Aye, really. I'm gonna close it though. Thank you so much for joining me, my brother. Thank you so much for joining me. Look, guys, please follow. If you have not followed, please follow. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. we are here. And then also we do watch alongs 11 p.m. Tomorrow we're going to be watching Bafana as well as the big three, Sundowns, Pirates, Chiefs. So you'll find me here on weekends watching the games as well, talking to you guys there too. Now, my major point, honestly speaking, for me, is that what does the future of football look like, and is it sustainable? How many Patrice Motsepes are you going to find in the world that are going to buy a team in South Africa and just go, you know what, I'm going to throw my money behind this team. I don't even want anything back. There is an owner, somebody even mentioned it on YouTube, and I had mentioned it earlier. The owner of Simba says that he loses millions upon millions of dollars every year, making sure that that team is what it is, right? Making sure that the team is what it is. And you can almost sense that it's out of the goodness of his own heart that he's doing that thing because he likes the atmosphere, he grew up supporting the club. How many of those stories are going to be able to tell? And are we creating structures in the game that are going to make the richer and the poorer teams poorer? And guys, when I speak about teams, don't mention Kaizer Chiefs. Don't mention Pirates. I'm talking about the other teams. Because like it or not, the way our game is going, you're going to need a lot of money. And Sundowns is the example. Man City is the example. You're going to need a lot of money to break the top teams that are there already. And it's just sad that FIFA, CAF, and our governing bodies that are meant to be for the betterment of all football are looking at the top end and saying that's where we need to focus. And I don't want to take anything away from Sundowns, from the Man Cities. They've done the work. It's 12 years of building, of throwing. It's now going to be 20 years that Tate Motsepe has owned that team. And almost every year has been running at a massive loss. They give away their prize money to the players. They are an incredible team. But how many of those guys can we create? Can we call? Can we bring in? Is it going to come down to that? And what does that mean for lower league teams? What does that mean for everybody else? Aren't there ways for us, for federations, our federations, to be able to look after those teams as well? And it doesn't mean take Mamelodi Sundowns' money and give it to somebody else. It means, how do we create structures where those teams can function really, really well? Because the truth is that if teams that are in the PSL at the bottom, from the middle of the PSL downwards, are struggling with money, what happens at the bottom? How does that team build up? How does that team build up to become what it is right now? And that is my issue. It seems like somebody reported me or something because there's some sort of restriction that has been put on my account now. But anyway, I guess we've been going too long. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. These are the conversations that we have. And if you want to watch any of the conversations back, they are available in full on YouTube. So head on over there, subscribe, and you'll be able to find all of our conversations. Like I said, the show is Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. And on Fridays, it's the special guys. I've been able to build a community offline on WhatsApp where we have these conversations in depth without time restrictions and things like that. If you want to be part of that community, head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and you'll gain access to the WhatsApp group where I can hear more from you guys. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been wanting to say a lot of things, but have been handicapped by the platform and by the time. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll let you know through my statuses whether I will have the 7 o'clock show, because we are going to be having a watch along for Bafana at 11 p.m. So please join me tomorrow. Look out for the statuses. Look out for the content. I put out content every day. There's new stuff that I've done today. Please go and support me on that side and share it to as many people as you know. Other football lovers, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I've actually gone over by quite a bit, but I'll see you guys then tomorrow. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Thank you so much to the guys on YouTube as well. I know I didn't read your comments as much, but thank you so much for joining me. Limukani, thank you guys. The people who have commented, Sandile, Siabonga, Holo, Ruben, who else? Nomkele, thank you so much. I'll see you guys. Please join me tomorrow as well. Bye, guys.